Then we get into Violent Night. Violent Night is the movie starring David Harbour. It is Die Hard, which people already say is a Christmas movie already, but it's like Die Hard meets Santa Claus because you have David Harbour here who is playing Santa Claus, who I think is a pretty good choice. I was mentioning to Chris Ayers when I was talking to him about it before, when we were talking about discussing the movie, that David Harbour is kind of like that in between. He's kind of like, he's kind of got, I guess you would describe as like a dad bod type fit. You know what I mean? And he's already like a big guy, so he's already kind of got the physical, imposing nature there. So it kind of works for him to kind of play a character like the more kind of violent type Santa Claus, I think. So this deals with a rich family coming together for the holidays. You have your, in movies, it's a rich family, so that means that they're all complete pricks, except for kind of one of the members of the family. You have the son, who has an estranged wife. The son in this, who's part of the rich family, is played by Alex Hassel, who people know. He was in the first season of The Boys. He was translucent in that. You have his estranged wife, who's Alexis Louder, who was in a movie this year that I really liked quite a bit. It was that movie with the guy who was in Captain America: Winter Soldier. Cop Shop. It was that movie that came out last year. She was in that one, which I like quite a bit. She plays his estranged wife in this. So you have some thieves who's led by John Leguizamo who come, hold the family hostage, wanting money from them. And it creates a situation where David Harbour's Santa Claus has to help the family and take on the would-be thieves. So with this movie right here, you do get kind of a lot of that violent kind of R-rated type humor that you have there with a movie like this, and you kind of get some good comedic moments here. And the action, I think, is pretty good. It's pretty fun. You know what I mean? Seeing kind of how David Harbour takes out all these kind of different people, and of course they're going to use. I mean, they're playing up the Christmas element of it, and they're going to do that here because it is set on Christmas, and it is somewhat kind of fun to watch, and it is kind of you can I think have fun with it and enjoy it. I don't think necessarily you'd have to go out to the theater to go see it, and some of the jokes I do think kind of fall flat. Just a little bit there. What were kind of some of your thoughts with Violent Night?
I was surprised how much I actually quite like this movie. It does those one thing I would really hope for kind of R-rated action comedy movies, in that despite what happens in the violent part or the comedy part, there's a heart to the story, or at least a character that is being terribly earnest. And I think the main character who plays Santa Claus, Dan, what's his last name?
David Harbour.
Harbour, right? Harbour, yes, Dan Harbour does a fantastic job playing this disgruntled, tired, just like this is the last Christmas I'll ever do, Santa. He honestly just sells the character as someone who's just tired of his job, doesn't feel like it's worth it, but he gives his heart and soul to every single, more than I considered it. He and John Leguizamo really steal the show of just being this taking their characters completely seriously and just acting the hell out of every scene they're in, and that more than makes up for some of the missed jokes or some of the effects from the action scene. But I will give this movie as well. The comedy around it is more as a violence hosted. There is a lot of violent scenes that happen in this. A lot of it uses blood plugins, but it still is quite graphic, more graphic than I was expecting. I liked how shitty the family is. They don't learn any lessons. They're just assholes. And they stay. It's like they're all consistent characters, except for the main trio characters of the family, which is the husband, the estranged wife, and their adorable daughter, who has just play. Who's the actress who plays the daughter?
Let me see if I can find the name.
if
You
you know.
continue talking. Let me see
Yeah.
if I can find the name there. About things that you kind of like about it.
Mm.
Yeah, let me see if
Yeah.
I can
It's
find.
just
Yeah.
I, regardless, she is fantastic. She plays the right amount of being naive but earnest, and when things it change up, she plays this character of someone who, despite being surrounded by just like a narcissistic family, extended family, or being in this place, she takes the best things that she can, and wants one simple thing for Christmas,
Mm.
and it's that earnesty that really is that final linchpin of this movie that really works. The dynamic between her and Santa, and all like the violent and rotten things of the rest of the movie, it just works out because it can just be icing on top of that. And John Leguizamo being just the Scrooge, the Grinch, just this guy who just hates Christmas with a passion, and everybody acts seriously despite the events around them,
Mm.
and that's what makes the movie work. It's like a Zucker Brothers comedy in the aspect that, well, far more violent. In that, if you have a joke going on in the foreground, don't have a joke in the background. And if
Mm.
you have a joke in the background, you can be serious in the foreground. Don't do both at once. Act like there's isn't a joke, and that's the joke.
Mm.
And I think that's what this movie does well enough with, is that it's able to balance that level of absurdity that they're throwing in this situation, which how serious the characters are playing it.
Mm.
What's your thoughts?
So the actress name who plays the little girl, Lee Brady is her name. She was been
Lee
in
Brain,
the
she was fantastic.
yeah, she's been in like the Umbrella Academy before. That's kind of one thing.
Okay.
So yeah, David Harbour, because the first scene you see him in, he's just drinking in a pub,
Yeah.
and he's just kind of over it. It's just like every day kids just want something. It's just more greed. He's just over it at this point. Like nobody enjoys the true kind of meaning of it in his mind of it, and just actually just it means nothing to them just to receive the gifts anymore. It's just they just want something. And you have this little girl who really believes in that true meaning of just want something special for Christmas, and it's gonna make her a whole day, or a whole year just to have this one thing. So I thought that was very cute, and she is very cute in this. And I think she plays it the right amount. John Leguizamo, I think he's a good scene stealer in this. With this, the menu, he's having a pretty good year, John Leguizamo.
Yeah, he
So
is.
he's been he's having a pretty good year. I just think some of the stuff kind of just runs kind of a little thin for me. I think what I mean, the Christmas
Mm,
stuff, the Christmas references. What I mean, it gets a little tired at some points. Again, when I saw the trailer for this, I kind of had similar thoughts. Like, well, this theme, it's like, how well are you gonna do it? You kind of gotta get in, get out with something like this. Don't want to overstay its welcome. I do think it overstays its welcome just a tad bit. Even though it's
right.
not a
Yeah.
very terribly long movie. It's only an hour and 52 minutes.
You
But
you
I
could trim some of the moments down. You could easily trim a few of them down to get like 5, 7 minutes out, and I think it would be just perfect.
yeah. How they use Santa Claus's special abilities in this, I think are fun. How they do that, like his sack and things
Mhm.
like that. I think they do some fun stuff with that. And then the action, I think, is, like I said, well done. I think the like the final climax of the movie is well done, which I think is actually pretty good. And like I said, David Harbour makes for a good action hero, action star. Like I mentioned this as well as talking with Chris Ayres of how it's like, I think he got kind of a bad rap with Hellboy. It's like I think he was a good Hellboy. I just think that movie wasn't. The movie was terrible for him. But yeah, so
Yeah, that was a bad movie.
yeah. I don't think I'm as high on it as you are. For me, I think I would just give it just to stream it. I think you
Mm,
could just wait at home for it. Yeah, I think you probably have more fun waiting at home and watching it rather than seeing it in theaters. So I'd give it just a stream. What about you?
that's that's completely fair. I totally see what you're seeing in it, and I agree in a lot of what you said too. I agree one more front that, yeah, you minus out 5, 7 minutes, edit a little bit more of those scenes, maybe cut out, you would be super lean gold. Some things do go a little bit longer than they maybe should have. That you could just easily just cut out just a bit. But I thought they were still pretty precise. Anyways, a lot of times with these kind of comedy, the comedy goes on and drones, and it's not very witty. It's very, but this one it mostly kept things very quick. It kept the scene and then moved to the next one. I was never bored by it. It was always fun to see it. And you're right. Harbour is a fantastic actor. Since the day I saw him in Stranger Things, and he was just running around punching people in the face as Cop Man, as I called him when he first showed up. Before I even remembered his name as a character, I knew it. Okay, you're gonna be all right. This series is gonna be even more fun now with you around. And he is not, honestly, even in movies where he's not, where he's in. He usually, I'm always happy to see him in. He, even if like movies like Hellboy, which that was not his fault. That was a really bad script and a really bad movie that he just happened to be. He did his best in as he could as a version of Hellboy that wasn't necessarily bad, but was very different from Ron Perlman's that I think people really wanted. Uh, but yeah, man, I had a fun time. I saw this in the theater. I had a good time with it. It was a great kind of a surprise for me where I wasn't expecting a lot and I ended up getting a lot more. Uh, so yeah, I could easily see it as I'm kind of caught between a high stream it and a low tune in. Uh, but you know what? So it's just one of those movies I really enjoy. So I think I'm gonna go with a low tune in. It's one of the few times I get to bump up. I'm gonna go bump up. It's Christmas. I'm feeling joyful and then triumphant. So I think this movie, if you could catch it in like a nice man, catch it, and you can catch it in your theater, I think you'd have fun. But if you can't, this is gonna be a great movie to just check out, have a beer or two, maybe an alcoholic eggnog, and just relax and have some fun.
Yeah. Okay. So stream it from me and low tune in from you. With Violent Night.